And we are live with a book launch and a beverage. And we have our very own Dave Lawson. I don't know why I'm saying our very own. You're not ours. Um,
We're just borrowing him for an hour.
and he even has his own channel now. So really, he's kind of the enemy. Um, but
What's your channel, Dave?
I mean, it's not really a channel to the same level as you guys, but we
That is a very, very low
channel.
bar.
I was
We
going to
have our
say,
Secret Scribes channel, and we do some like Scribes lives on there. We're actually planning to do a few Scribes and Friends things in a few months, or maybe next month, where we bring on some people that are not Scribes members and talk with them and criticize Nick and things like that.
cool.
Well, that sounds like fun, at least.
Are
Yeah.
you like interviewing people to see if they can become a secret scribe, or is
No. We are closed. We've got our peoples. There's no.
So you are flaunting your exclusiveness by letting people see what you do and kind of get a peek behind the curtain and then saying,
we
fuck you.
considered kicking Alex out, but it's one of those things where I can't do it by myself. I need to get a majority, and we have a bunch of softies.
All right. Okay.
But whose name is the channel in the StreamYard? Because
I think it's. What do you mean?
Like who signed up for the StreamYard?
Me.
Account? Oh, see, then it's you. You can kick anybody out.
Yeah, it's my channel. I'm in charge.
See, now Mike made the mistake of giving me full access to this, so I just removed him, and he's going to have to sign back in now. And of course, it's 7:02. If EL shows up, I'm going to give him till, I think the weather being what it is, 7:22 before he gets kicked out tonight. That's why.
Ooh, I was thinking low 20s too. I guess I'm going to go 29.
29 is basically what I thought your age was, Mike.
Hey, you can
cat ears maybe.
You want
29? Come on, man. What am I then?
40 something, 50. I don't know.
I love you. You're a good man. 40 something. You really need to get those eyes checked out, though. They say you got to get those checked a couple times a year after a certain age.
Bald&Balding tonight. So
there you go.
See, I see why you want to kick Alex out now. He's
just mean, just for no reason. He's always mean to me.
I mean, I saw the review of you where he said he hates me. So
it's basically
look at this.
EL, get out of my show.
You weren't pre-booted. Your time starts now. We have takers on the time, so we're gonna see what happens.
Oh. So we should probably talk about your book before we go off on more tangents.
It's only 3 minutes in, Mike. That would be setting a precedent, I think. It's a highly suspect way of doing this.
So tell us about your book. Hurry.
All right. So my book, I have a copy right here. It is
nice.
The Envoys of War, which has a very sort of epic fantasy type cover and a very epic fantasy type name. And it's kind of epic fantasy, but it's also humorous fantasy.
No.
And it is the story of two envoys or messengers who are on a mission. However, one of them has a secret mission to figure out if the other one is actually selling secrets to the enemy. And they go out on their mission, but very quickly things go absolutely wrong. And they have a completely new mission of sorts that they go on with some other people. It basically turns into a jokey, heisty quest, according to one of my friends who has read the book. And I'm doing a really bad job of describing this, so we're going to basically...
You're covering a lot of bases, if it helps.
Jen and Corden are the two main characters. They're on this mission. They're good friends, but Jen is kind of worried that Corden might be betraying them. They go out onto their mission and they meet some different people along the way and get involved in a rescue mission. And so many schemes and plots and overcomplicated plans, but Corden is completely convinced that he is the smartest person ever. And Jen's kind of like, well, I guess he more often than not is successful, so we'll let these crazy plans go. And there's shenanigans.
Oh, I love shenanigans. That's like
Lots
my
of
favorite.
shenanigans.
Yeah.
Lots of banter, lots of shenanigans, lots of just. I think one reviewer said it's funny, but it's like mean funny, which is my
Oh,
favorite.
That's a genre all in itself right there. But you said shenanigans and all the other stuff, and you know what first came into my mind, and this is I haven't read your book, obviously, um, is Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead.
I've read
Have you
that.
ever, have you ever seen it?
I have seen a like not the live performance, but I've seen like a video of the
Right,
live
right.
performance.
Yeah. So for anybody who doesn't know, they were characters from Hamlet, right?
Yep.
yep.
The two minor characters from Hamlet, and this whole story is done from their POV, and it's actually pretty funny. And there were shenanigans there as well, I believe. It's been a
And
while.
they are indeed dead.
So how do you go about writing an overly complicated kind of story like that? And that's something I always wonder when I do read something that's like that. I just sit there and kind of shake my head and go, it's like, what the hell
So
was the author of this smoking when they came up with all of these different wheels within wheels?
I wouldn't say that the story itself is overcomplicated, but the character Corden, who Alex says is my self-insert character, is kind of that super charismatic guy who Jonathan Putnam over at SFF Insiders, who has read the book and reviewed it, said that it was basically he was a theater kid. Corden's an actor. He's charismatic. He has some bard energy to him, and he just likes to go out there and come up with these incredibly complicated plans where all of these things are happening, and the people around him are like, what are you talking about? Like, why do we need to do this? And he's like, because it's part of the plan, obviously.
So wait a minute. You teach theater, right?
I do.
And you're kind of an actor yourself who comes up with incredibly complicated plans? So is this character based on you by any chance?
So not really, because he's also like a libertine and a scoundrel who's had affairs with all the married women in the kingdom.
Well, you're married now, so you have to say it's not you.
Yes,
Right.
also my wife is across the room staring at me as you ask this question.
Hi, Mrs. Lawson. Thanks for letting Dave come out and play.
We don't believe him either.
He was alive before he met you.
But I would say I do have a little bit of a mixture. So Jen is massive. She's huge, carries a big sword, and is a great fighter, but she also loves animals and just wants friends. And I would say that like the loves animals parts and the wants friends parts of Jen connects with me, along with the charismatic theater side of things from Corden. So like you could say that I'm kind of a mixture of characters, but I'm not just the one character.
You've just described most men over 35.
I am
That's
39.
all we really want is friends, you know.
So Ro, I do have to warn you about Dave. He actually put out there on Twitter, so it's saved forever, and you know it must be true.
Oh,
that
yeah.
he actually enjoys marketing his book.
Get the hell out. Really?
It's kind of fun. I mean, so the thing is that I'll say is that I don't enjoy the like, hi, buy my book, hi, buy my book, hi, buy my book kind of stuff. But the silliness and the like joking around and that kind of stuff, that for me is kind of fun. Like I enjoy making silly videos and I enjoy coming up with silly content and interviewing people and talking to people. So like that part of it, I have a lot of fun with. Winter Plum Wine, by the way, is the wine in the book that Jen is obsessed with. She might be a slight alcoholic. She drinks a lot of wine.
Bit of a lush. Nice.
And she is huge with a big sword, EL. Jen is a woman. She's like 6'5", and she carries a great sword, and she is much cooler than I would ever be in terms of that.
Turn off the curtains, lad. All the chickens see around. What's wrong with us? We've got huge, great swords. Sorry.
Jen's liver is going to last forever, Audrey.
Yeah, there's magic, right?
Yeah, I mean, and also she's just, wine is good for you. Francois, there are several Francois in the book. Francois is the name that Jen names different animals that she meets along the way. So her first Francois is a spider she has to kill. You know, she tried to be friends. It wanted to eat her. That's just the way things go. She does find horses later on that she also names Francois.
Now, I'm going to ask this question, and I hope you answer this the right way because it will be a huge opportunity missed if you didn't. Is there a frog named Francois?
No.
Oh.
There are no frogs, except for Bo Kelly. Oh, hey, Bo, how are you? Good to see you over there. So Audrey says to tell them about Tobias. He is the broody McBruderson mage in the story who goes around planning revenges and being broody, and Audrey's obsessed with him because that's her favorite thing in the world.
Okay, so folks in the chat, just vote with a yes or no. Would you like Dave to read a page or two? We're going to ask you to anyway, so it really doesn't matter how they vote. It's an electoral college thing, and Mike and I hold the electoral college votes, and we both vote yes. So even if we lose the popular vote, it doesn't matter.
Frogs are friends, Bo. Frogs are friends.
Okay, so yes, 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 yep. Yes, yes, yes.
All right. So what part will you be entertaining us with? And I'm sorry to just throw this out at you with zero preparation whatsoever. But you said you like the marketing part, so you know.
So I'm gonna read a part where Broody McBruderson Tobias is in an inn.
Do you call him Broody McBruderson in the book?
Actually, right before he's talking to a beggar outside of an inn because he needs to buy a coat because his coat is too nice and he's following our character Corden around. And he needs to fit in with the clientele in this inn, so he's going to try to buy this beggar's coat that will fit the vibe a little bit more.
All right.
So let me get there. So, all right, here we go. In the alley near the inn, he found a beggar who was close to his size. "How much for your coat, friend?" The beggar's coat had at one point been the property of a wealthier man, judging by the stitched gold monogram on the lapel, above the lapel, and the quality of the black wool. The coat was still in passable shape, not a heap of rags, but also not the coat of a well-to-do merchant or man about town. Tobias's own coat was not expensive, but it had been well cared for and looked far too elegant for his current needs. "What you need me coat for?" The beggar's stringy brown hair hung in clumps over his dirty brow. And when he opened his mouth, 2 missing front teeth and a distinct odor of rotten fish greeted Tobias. He hadn't thought of a reason for needing the coat. He'd assumed the beggar would just take the coins without a second thought. What kind of beggar asked questions? "My wife," he said. "She has betrayed me, seeking the company of another man. I'm following him so that I may find out his identity, challenge him to a duel, and hopefully kill the scoundrel." The beggar laughed. "That's marriage for you. Me own wife died last year. I hated the woman more than I hate most things, but gods if I don't miss her sometimes." "So, how much for the coat?" The beggar pondered, looking at the sky as if asking the gods for backing. 20 crowns. An astronomical amount. Tobias' own coat hadn't cost more than 10 crowns, and that was new. "Swordsman's bloody bollocks," he spat. "I'm not a fool. And I quite like me coat." 5 crowns. The beggar considered this. 12. 8. The beggar turned to walk away. "May talk keep ye, sir." "Fine, 12. Tobias tossed a bulging purse of coins to the beggar, who caught it as if it was lighter than air. The beggar counted the coins, took off his coat, and then handed it to Tobias. "Pleasure doing business with you, sir. If you need trousers, underpants, and me shirt, I'll gladly sell you those for another 5 crowns. "That is a delightful offer I must refuse." Tobias shuddered at the idea. Wearing the man's coat was bad enough, but at least the coat had not been pressed up too much against the man's skin. He took off his own coat and then realized he had nowhere to put it. He could not wear a coat and carry another without risking unwanted attention. Unfortunately, the only solution was to abandon his own coat. I seem to have an available coat, he told the beggar. Perhaps you'd like to buy it? The beggar made a show of inspecting the coat. It looks decent like. I'll give you 2 crowns for it. Tobias gritted his teeth in anger, but he accepted the man's offer. He made a note to ask Topper to fetch him a new coat. He put on the beggar's coat, bracing himself against the stench of sweat and vomit, and turned toward the inn. He took a deep breath, a terrible idea given his attire, and stepped into the golden crown, certain revenge was near.
Nice. I don't think I've ever heard quite that much description of a coat before in a fantasy story.
Coats are very important in that little scene right there.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's good though because that's like the kind of flavor of the thing that you want, you know.
And then in the next scene, he talks to basically the same guy again, but they have a much longer discussion, which I'm just going to read that. And then I thought, no, I'll read the coat part. But the next part's about whiskey and whether or not the guy is delicate enough or if he's too delicate to actually give information until he's had some whiskey to dry his throat or to ease his dry throat.
And when did this book come out?
It comes out in 18 days.
Oh, it's not out yet.
No, it is in the ARC stage. A few of the peoples in the chat have read it. One of them hasn't reviewed it yet, even though he read it. Oh, Nick, how are you? Good.
Nick
good
is
to see
late.
you here, Nick. And we are, 18 days away. It releases on October 19th.
Nice. And he's having multiple people interviews, and he decided to do us first so that he can just go up from here.
That's right. Yeah. Well, that's a solid move, actually.
And he's going to end at Kay's Hidden Shelf. So I mean, he is really
Well, comedians will start at like the slummiest bar they can to work out all their material and get rid of the stuff that doesn't work. Right.
I went from here next to the Bearded Book Beast, which I've already written a story about Big Bird seducing him to read on air at that one. So
I'm a little offended now, Mike.
Up or down from here?
Man, Big Bird's too good to seduce us. Is that it? See how it is.
Are you terrified of Big Bird?
No.
Okay, that's the reason it's fun, is because the Bearded Book Beast is terrified of Big Beard. You might be terrified of Big Beard as well, but Big Bird is what
he told you that?
Oh, look, he's right there. Did not say anything like Big Bird. Who is that? Don't know. Bo, absolutely not. This is a no fog zone. We do not allow fog around here.
Oh, so it's not going to be fog bound either?
No, like if I write a history professor, they're not going to be like possessed by some long dead weirdo.
Those are the best ones. What number? This isn't your first book, is it, Dave?
So I have written several things before. Hi, Nick. I
read that. If it helps anybody reading Nick's comment, if you read it with the voice of oh god dang, Yosemite Sam. If you read it with the voice of Yosemite Sam, it works a lot better.
What I see is Bearded Beast, I hate you. So Nick, can you please keep your like anger with Chris out of the chat? You're just like taking it out on the poor guy. He just showed up. So I have my bachelor's degree was in creative writing. Way back I graduated in 2007, and then I went to graduate school in fiction writing, and I got a master's of fine arts, and I wrote literary fiction. And so I had a few stories published in little tiny literary journals that most of them they put it on their website, and then the website they didn't pay their
right.
Their fund. That website no longer exists, where I can't find any of those actually. I don't think they exist on the internet anymore. And then I had written my master's thesis, and it was a novella that I kind of repurposed into a YA novella a little bit later on, still contemporary. And I self-published that on Amazon in 2018 or 2019 just to be like, I wrote this thing and it is sitting here. I'm going to put it out there. And I did not market it. I did not tell people to buy it because, like, while I like it in some ways because I wrote it and it's something that, like, I spent a lot of time on, I definitely, like, don't really need a bunch of people to read it now because it's completely different. And I wrote it when I was 23. And so I started writing this book last year, toward the end of last year. And I actually started with a D&D campaign that Audrey, who's in the chat, is in that campaign. And I wrote like a little jokey short story about one of the characters and then didn't do anything with it for a little bit and then came back and took a few parts of that, made completely new characters, completely new world, and started writing, and it just exploded out in like 2.5 months or 2 months. I had the whole first draft, which was like 90,000 words, and then betas, editing, etc. Over the next several months, got it up to where it is now, which is like 107,500 ish. But yeah, I'd never written a novel before. I'd written a lot of short stories and a novella, but this is the first novel I've ever written.
So how was it going from, literary fiction down to where the rest of us plebes live?
I would say the hardest thing is just like trying to unlearn some of the like things professors told you to never do or to which just don't really make sense with actual writing. Like within the lit fic short story world, you really didn't want the plot to be more than like these people are in a room and they talk to each other some. Like they didn't really want events happening or like plot driven things. That was like the worst thing you could say is it's kind of plot driven and be like, I hate your story, never write again. And so there was a lot of like plot was not good. Anything genre was not good. If it was a mystery, if it was fantasy, sci-fi or something, it was just like, why in the world would we be writing something so horrible? Go somewhere else. We only write literary fiction about contemporary.
What Ponzi-ass school did you go to?
Oklahoma State University, and then
wasn't expecting that.
My master's was from the New School in New York City, which is a
okay
art school.
All right, is that your MFA folks?
My MFA folks, yeah, but I'd say the BA folks in Oklahoma were just as, if not more, Ponzi about it, and they weren't as good. The only place that's probably worse would be like the University of Oklahoma. Like the people who go there, who knows what's up with those weirdos?
Oh, do they even have to
is that the one in Norman?
That's the one in Norman. Like,
yeah, I actually did a course there when I was in the service, like a 2-month course in communications.
And yeah, it's just the worst place in the world.
Yeah, Norman doesn't have a lot going for it.
It actually does now. Like, it's a pretty nice place, but
yeah, it was quite a long time ago.
Like,
so.
I mean, if they had a decent football team, then maybe, but
yeah, OSU's football team's great this year. Like, we definitely haven't lost 2 games in a row or anything like that. Like, we're doing really well. I grew up in Stillwater, so Shane is just like ripping apart my entire life over here.
Is 724, is EL still with us? Good movie theater in Norman. That is not like a real big recommendation for the
you can go there.
Chamber of Commerce website. We have a good movie theater.
There's a good Mexican restaurant. There's a cool brewery. That's about all I have to say about it. I went to a conference there last summer for theater.
I saw an Oklahoma football game.
I'm sorry.
They played Weber State. It was not exciting.
He was locked out for 1 minute. I think I win at 7:22 then.
I think we're going to have to give it to you.
There's a warren in Broken Arrow where my parents live too. There's nothing special about that.
Oh, so this has to be a series because you're a fantasy author, correct?
So it is a series, yes, but not in like the like I really don't know if it's going to be 3 or 4 books, but it's kind of like each one is a semi like the first book is basically a standalone in some ways. Like it has a lead into the next book, but it's not something where book 2 is like everything that happened in book 1 is the first part of it and nothing is resolved and now book 2 finishes the story or something. It's more of like each story is going to have its own plot that is for that story. One author that I really like is Michael J. Sullivan. And like his Royce and Hadrian books, I feel like did a really good job of. There's 6 books in that first series, and there's an overarching plot, but each book has its own like plot that does the entire thing. That is like that book has this plot. The next book is a new adventure with the same characters and some of the same overarching stuff.
So Bo is still here despite your best efforts.
Bo, I've only read the first book, and it's one of the best books I've read this year. Wistful Ascending. Go buy it, people. If you haven't read it, it's amazing. But I need to read more of them. But I listened to the audiobook of that one, and physical books take a lot longer for me to read than audiobooks. And so I still need to get around to the rest of the series. But I'm assuming like each book is a complete series in that, but there is kind of that overarching plot. I would agree.
Nice.
So, more importantly, have you bought all the rest of the books in that series? I mean, who cares if you read them? Have you bought them?
Technically, I have not bought any of the books because
What?
Joe
Oh
sent
my-
me a copy of the audiobook, and then I downloaded the second one on Kindle Unlimited. But
So what you got to do then is just set your
paperbacks
Kindle
of all
to
of them, yes.
to move the page every now and then, because that's fine. I mean, that's kind of like buying it if you actually read it.
The thing is that like I still love a good paperback, and I have my bookshelf with all of my paperbacks of like books that I like. I buy the paperback, but in general, I feel like anymore I mostly read on my Kindle or audio, just because like you have to have a light on to read a paperback. And if
That
I'm
helps
like
generally.
lying in bed, I don't want to go get up and turn the light on. Like I'll just read on my Kindle.
They have these really cool things. Now, maybe not in Oklahoma, right?
Called
But
Braille? Oh.
lamps,
No, so
and they're
in
small
Oklahoma,
enough to put right
we
next to your
ride
bed.
Horses. It's like I don't own a lamp. I just own a horse, and I own a lasso. And basically, on my way to work, I lasso a few naders, and then like go to work for a few hours, like storm chasing, and then I ride back from storm chasing, and I get home, and there I just like go into my room and light a candle because that's Oklahoma for you.
You're the one that said you had to get up and turn off a light, man. It wasn't me.
I guess I could do that, but I am not fancy enough for the clap lights either. That seems more of like a Nick thing.
You need to be 60 at least before you start getting clap lights.
A Nick thing.
Look at this. Alex, who you said hates you, and he's going to get you a book light.
See, Alex doesn't hate me. Alex and I have a wonderful relationship where I give him crap, he gives me crap, he gives me more crap. I try to apologize, he gives me more crap. Like it's beautiful. Like we really have a good thing.
It's a
going.
give and take kind of relationship. He gives it, you take it.
Yeah. I mean,
That's nice.
there you
Yeah,
go.
that's excellent.
So, I have a question for you, Dave.
Yes.
Oh, there's one.
Because you seem to be unhappy with my Germlish that I attempted when I introduced Alex and Herman, and when they were on the show together.
You're German?
My Germlish.
Yes.
So it was not. Did you understand what I was saying? As someone who can understand German.
That was so long ago. Like,
Okay, we're going to go with yes then. Great.
but I mean, I took German in high school, and I can say some things like that is a very small church, and you are a very beautiful girl, and no, that is not very good. And like, I would like
That would be good for you, Mike.
Well, I don't think Chat GPT led me astray, so that had to be right.
Das ist nicht sehr gut. See, the thing is, German, you have to be like, Nein, das ist nicht sehr gut.
And
If
that's
you
when you're
say
welcoming
it,
someone.
you don't sound German. You have to be angry, and then you sound German.
I think that Klingon was based off of German or something.
You know, sometimes there's a small church and you just have to say, Das ist ein kleines Kirche, because it's just what you do. I mean, Tim, you know all
I've
about
never
this.
done it.
You see many small churches.
I mean, I know Donde el Biblioteca.
Donde está la
Yeah.
Donate a Casa de Pepe.
No me gusta, Mike.
No, not at all. I struggle with English.
Especially written English. He really does. He has a problem.
Becoming a Druid. Trust me, I know.
Well, Ro is my editor, so he gets to read the unvarnished crap.
Over and over and over again.
Well, Nick, you should not be leaving. I mean,
Nick is saying that becoming a Druid was horrendous. Like, Nick.
yeah.
That ain't right.
Nick is over in the chat, like, tearing apart Bearded Book Beast, tearing apart you, like, man.
There we go.
I think you're absolutely right, Alex. You absolutely should. I am not too proud to take booze.
One of these days, Nick, you'll actually write that review.
You know, I just want to.
He has been teasing me with this for like 3 weeks now. Like, I finished the book and I'm going to write that review. I forgot I'm going to write that review next week. Oh, I'm going to write that.
He wants to wait until he forgets the book a little more.
I do want to point out that Nick and our books were just as successful in Spiffbows.
Well, Nick's was basically a semifinalist, I feel like. To go off and not talk about myself, but to talk about Nick, he made it to like the last 5 of his group. So I think he's an honorary semifinalist there. It looks like Audrey asked in the chat about the magic system of my book. Which is
somebody in there did ask a real question a while ago.
Thank you, Audrey. She just wants to know because Tobias is her lover and he's the mage. But so it is water magic, which sounds like, oh, another book where they have water magic. But I took it and I was just kind of like, what if they could do absolutely anything ever with water? So you have people like scrambling brains because guess what? There is water in the liquids in your brain. Ice that like comes out from inside of them and like kills them because there is water in your blood. Also, I actually have not seen all that much of Avatar. I have seen some parts of it before, but it's funny because people can be like, oh, it's kind of like Avatar, and there's some elements. One of my favorite parts about it is that the a water balloon fight, like the seas around the continent where it's set are just like raging seas that ships cannot cross, and mages have to be the ship captains so that they can use their magic to calm the waters so that people can actually go across the water. So it's kind of a fun thing. Lamia, I'm in a hat because I am Corden Talon. And if you look on the book cover, you can see he is wearing this hat. However, I'm actually, Kenneth, I'm going to tell you right now, I am writing a short story for a Secret Scribes anthology that could exist at some point. Alex knows nothing about this, and I am going to be writing a story about mage captains on the seas, and some adventures there. So that'll be.
I want to see a story about a mage who just gets wicked PTSD and starts drinking a lot and gets a job at a bar watering down all the beer. That's all he does is just sits there and waters down people's drink because they don't notice it, so they have to keep buying more.
Fantasy novella here next year.
Is this mage going to be like in his mid-50s and just not like people?
So his
And-
name is actually going to be like, I will tell you, I don't know if I can name the mage Roe, because if I name the mage Roe, everyone in my life is just going to assume that I'm naming it after my dog, because guess what? My dog's name is Roe. Row. So her name is Rowena. My wife named her that like 10 years ago.
Thanks, Mrs. Lawson.
Roe.
Well, you
So
can always
come here,
name
Ro.
Rosaire.
Roe, say hi to Roe. Here's Roe.
I just told him to bite you in the middle of the night.
She's a girl.
Whatever.
But yes, I have a Roe. Mike, you have a Roe. We're basically the same person. Bald, all those kind of things.
So I have to tell you, when
So glad to be involved in this somehow.
when I sent my book to Roe to edit the first time he edited my book, I had times like, by the way, there's a character named Rosaire in my book, and he's kind of a jackass. But I wrote this before I knew you, so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, but it all worked out because, you know, it wasn't spelled the same, just pronounced the same.
You know, Joe, I work in Oklahoma as a teacher, so I don't think if I had Roe and Wade, I would get canceled. I would lose my job. Can't do stuff like that.
So you teach kids what exactly?
So I am a sophomore English teacher. I
Uh-huh.
teach English, and then I have one section of theater the last hour of the day, and I am the drama director at my school. We're a relatively small school of about 600 students. And so I just like before here, was at rehearsal because we have drama regionals here in 2 weeks, and we are busy.
Regionals? That's a real thing?
So it's like one act play competition.
Well, I mean, in all the like television shows and everything, they kind of make fun of regionals, right? Because in Glee, for instance, every week they were going to regionals. It's like a big thing. It's like, oh, we've got regionals
once a year, and then if you get the top 3 of 6, you go to state. So regionals is on the 15th, and I am a masochist, so I have my book release on the 19th, and I have all of these interviews and stuff as I am.
Thank you, Tim.
Trying to prepare for regionals. Yes. This is Glee. I am I've never actually watched Glee. I can't even give you a character name.
So tell us about the kids today. Are they as jacked up as we have been led to believe?
Oh my God. Sorry, I just read
not your specific kids, just in general.
The nice comments in the chat.
This one?
It is a spice-free novel. There is a tiny touch of romance, not between the 2 main characters, but yeah, there is not that kind of stuff in it. But what I would say is that sure, there are definitely a lot of kids who are kind of unmotivated, but there's still a lot of awesome kids, and I actually really enjoy working with a lot of them, and they're really a lot of fun. I've learned a lot of new words.
Have you ever used skibbity in a sentence unironically?
No, but it is kind of crazy how much riz some kids have when they skibbity through Ohio.
Nice.
Basically, there was one show, Ro, where I think your daughter was talking to you and like saying some of these things, and you were asking questions, and I was like, this is everything I know. Like, these are all of the phrases I hear all the time.
And it's super embarrassing for her, too, which is really the funnest part of it. It's quite possible she's listening to us now because in her dorm room at the university, there's not a lot going on there, apparently. And, she's 18. So she has been known to listen to this from time to time, but she's never in the chat. So. It's a good move on her part, I think.
A little crazy tonight. I feel like it's all Nick's fault.
Well, yeah, obviously. 50 Shades of Fog. It's coming out soon.
No, Alex, I don't make her. She is perfectly capable of doing it herself.
You're not getting an allowance unless you watch the show. No, I won't Venmo you.
And get
Get on the phone.
225 of your friends to sign up so I can watch Mike get his head poked with a needle.
No, what Ro does is he's like, no, I'm not paying for your phone anymore if you don't watch. He gets serious.
I still need her to come home every now and then and watch the cats. So, so after this, the amazing success that will be this book when you release it here soon,
Much better than Fogbound. I have to say that.
what's
Go
what's
ahead.
next after that?
So I am writing currently a novella that it's a prequel novella, but it's not the it only has one character who's in the actual novel, and it's like one of the smaller characters. I'm just kind of giving a little bit of like a story involving him like 12 years earlier that has a little bit of connection, but it's more of kind of a standalone novella. And then I'm writing that for kind of like a newsletter magnet type thing or something to put in competitions or whatever. And then book 2, I have outlined at least a decent amount of that. I've got my short story about the water ship captain mages. I wrote a story about Bearded Book Beast and Big Bird. It was 400 words.
So I have a question for you, Dave.
Yes.
You wrote the story about Big Bird and Chris, correct?
Yes.
You're writing a short story for the Oh So Secret Scribes anthology that's so secret the scribes don't even know about it yet.
Oh, now they do. Thanks. Good job.
You're writing a
they all know.
novella,
Alex.
and you're writing book 2. How many projects do you have started?
I've written more than half of the novella. I've outlined book 2. I need to write the short story here soon because we're supposed to have our first drafts done by the end of December. So short story and novella are the first things to do here. But yeah, we're getting there. Audrey, yes, I could have made it darker and grittier. So Audrey asked, I could have made the story darker and grittier. Why did I decide to go with humor instead? And that's because I can't be serious.
I respect
Not
that.
for that long. I can't be serious for that long. Like, I need to be silly and make jokes and all that kind of stuff, to where I realize that the super dark, gritty stuff is the stuff that like is the most sellable, and I feel like the stuff that is going to get the most like acclaim and everyone in the world talking about it, but I just can't do it. I have to be funny.
So, Dave, I have an idea for you. I want to pitch a story idea for you. You should do.
Oh God, hang on to something, Dave.
Your character is a superhero, and his superpower is that his bald head is so glossy that he can shine the sunlight off of it and melt things. And he's middle-aged, 40s, 50s, something like that. And he doesn't like being serious ever. And he's kind of a hermit.
How old do you think I am?
I know you're 39, but I said 40s or 50s.
Oh, so you're talking about you. Okay. It's like, wait, Nick said something nice to me, guys. Stop the chat.
Wait, here we go. Let's see what it was.
Ro, would you like to read this aloud? I'd like to hear it come from you.
For it being a humorous book, Envoys does a remarkable job at conflict, especially between the main few characters.
Okay, so it's a 44-minute mark.
Nick said something nice.
The back of the book now, right here. NJ Alexander, author of Fog Pound Bound.
I just want to ask you one question real quick. In your rather peculiar life of enjoying marketing, what has worked best for you?
I would say, so like my book is a little silly. I like to be kind of silly about things. I would say like just the things that have been similar in tone to the book. So like I had a video where I stood with the sword and said, "Hi, I'm Dave, and I don't know how to market, but I've got a sword and a hat," and like told people about the book and like little things like that. Or I've done some graphics where I had one where I said enemies to still enemies, and I got a lot of good comments about that where people thought that was funny. I'm going to shout out Nick once again, because he had a thing that was kind of a inspiration to me, and I definitely took that idea and worked it for myself, where he had a graphic where he had something like dude who's possessed by a guy, like a fog, an old warrior who's kind of an asshole, or like kind of just like the tongue-in-cheek funny marketing related things have worked really well for me. Just
wait,
because
you mean Nick did something other than take pictures of his book in his car?
he did.
Wow.
Nick is actually a super cool dude. One thing I said to Nick that wasn't in public, yes, I love the bullshitty trope graphic. It's amazing. Just like that kind of stuff is fun, and I feel like people see that and they're like, this guy's kind of funny. Maybe this book is also not going to be like too serious, and people will enjoy it. So go, Dave.
If we can talk to Nick for 1 second here, sorry, regarding your selfies in the car, you should do a series and try to have people guess what kind of car you're in today, and go around and see how good of a car you can actually get into.
Break into him if need be. I mean, you know.
Well, that wouldn't be my suggestion.
That would make Nick a member of the Break-Ins.
But I'm bummed.
So, one thing, and I'll tell a story about Nick here in a minute. But I will say that I had talked to Nick whenever he had told me like that he read my book, and I said that, and he said he enjoyed it, and I said that I figured he would, because our books have a very similar vibe of like adventure fantasy that is definitely that's definitely tongue-in-cheek. There's humor. It is not super serious, dark, grim the whole time. There are no tall dwarfs in mine. There's just tall people. It's only people, no other races. Just the way things go. There are enhanced animals, which I think is fun, and there's going to be more along that front in the future where I go with that. But I'm enjoying like making stuff up and being like, how do I make this fit into the world?
Define enhanced animal.
So one of the things that the mages can do is they have like they can infuse the water with magic, and someone who like bathes in it or drinks from it or something can get some of those extra abilities, like steroids basically. And so there are these enhanced wolves called wolvens that are basically giant wolves that people can ride like horses, but they are wolves. There's a giant spider named Francois. One of the mages that is a bad guy is enhanced, like he has kind of lost a little bit of his humanity, becoming enhanced. There's some bad guys who have a plot involved with trying to enhance people to try to make like super mages of sorts. So there is some enhancements like that in there. Natural male enhancements, you could even say in some way.
See, out here right now, with all the devastation down in North Carolina and everything, we're under a boil water order because we also have stuff in our water, but it doesn't enhance you as much as make you puke your guts out. So you could do that.
I could do that. That does not sound quite as fun.
So
depends how you approach it.
I have another proposition for you. If you were to appear on Creature Creation, would you put that creature into one of your books?
Absolutely.
So if I have you and Alex on in
What if
December,
it was this big and did pretty much nothing except chew your teeth out or something?
the
Are you
Samboni.
do not put some respect on the Samboni's name, first of all.
God.
And secondly, absolutely, like I have been sitting there at every creature creation just thinking like, why does Mike hate me? Why does Mike hate me? Why does
Well,
Mike
see,
hate
I'm going to put you on
me? He
with
hasn't
Alex
invited me yet.
so that you two can just go back and forth at each other, you know.
I feel like Alex and I would actually have some agreements along the way on this, as long as
Oh, I don't know if we can have that. I'd have to cheat and make things ridiculous for you.
I mean, I will make things ridiculous on my own.
That I have no doubt. Yeah, I mean, the people that I like, they've been on Creature Creation already.
The people
Now
that you like?
that you kind of can't stand.
What's everybody else? Man, you were
Me.
just winning friends and influencing people there, young Mike.
You
I
know,
mean, you already had Bill on, so like, I feel like you can't get any lower than that.
Okay, well then you and Alex, I'm penciling in for December. That's going to be the Christmas present to everybody. Although it won't be at Christmas because, you know, some people have lives and families and stuff.
Yeah, but you're the one that does the show.
Well, you know, I could make it. Yes, it has to be Christmas Eve, and everyone has to break their whole family celebration up to be on. I could do that.
You
Hi,
could.
Bill.
Get some eggnog going, yeah. Hey, Mike, we had a request quite a while ago
Yes, we did.
for Dave to go into the Bald Dome. I
Oh.
don't know why, but you know, what the
I
hell?
live there.
So,
That's true, right?
are you going to take to go into the Bald Dome?
Which what?
Which character are you going to take into the Bald Dome?
I mean, Jen would be too easy because she would just swing her sword at things. So obviously, we're going with Corden, the man.
She doesn't get to bring her own sword.
We're
You know
going with
that.
Corden just because he needs to.
No, this is great. The plan is going to be wonderful. You know, he's going to, you know, have a fruit fly or something. He's going to have like a 17-page plan. Okay. So, Corden is in a floating island suspended in the sky.
Hence floating.
And by the way, the rules of your world hold sway here.
All right.
Except for your whole floating city. I don't know if you have those. What's your favorite
Enough
color?
mages get that water up there.
There you go.
They can hold it up there.
What's your favorite color?
Green.
He has a green fizzy potion, but he does not know what it does. But if he drinks it,
Ned Bull. Audrey, if you're in the chat, it's Ned Bull.
Hey,
So-
Dave, real quick question. Are you signing a cappella tonight? You heard that was happening at some point.
I can definitely sign a cappella. I can also sing a cappella.
Do it. Let's
What do you
go.
want? Give me a song.
The theme to Gilligan's Island.
Just sit right back and you hear a tale of a faithful trip.
Oh,
I
was really rooting for you there. I thought you knew it.
Or I don't remember all the lyrics to that one.
Okay, so now the question is, does he want a regular item and he'll face a regular creature, or does he want an actual weapon and he will face a fantasy creature?
Regular item. He doesn't really have weapons besides maybe a dagger.
Okay, so his regular item is an anvil.
Excellent.
If he had chosen a weapon, he would have got a bastard sword.
He is a bastard.
So now he must face, what is it? A hippopotamus rather than a vampire. So he has an anvil. He's facing a hippopotamus. He has a green fizzy potion. He's in a city floating in the sky. What happens? Tell us.
So Corden immediately, first thing he's going to do is he's going to look at the hippopotamus and say, "Hello, my good man. It's good to see you. You know, you look quite excellent today. Like, what have you been doing with yourself? Your hair looks fantastic. That suit, impeccable. In fact, sir, I feel like you might be the most sophisticated hippopotamus I've ever met. Why don't we go have a fine ale or maybe a wine and enjoy some fellowship together?"
Okay, and the hippopotamus belches in his general direction.
"Indeed, sir, I agree completely. Why don't you come over here and you can share this fine anvil with me. In fact, it's one of my favorite things to do in the world is sit with an anvil and just enjoy the company of a good hippopotamus.
The hippo is starting to get a little belligerent.
Ah, yes, you are. Just, I understand. I too get that way whenever I can't have both an anvil and a green fizzy potion. So why don't you come over here and I'll give you this green fizzy potion. It will be a wondrous time.
So now it bares its teeth at you, and it's starting to get ready to charge.
Oh, bugger.
But they're like the buck teeth from,
At this point, Gordon is going to attempt to pick up the anvil, but he is absolutely not strong enough.
Okay.
So he's going to take off his frock coat and throw his coat at the hippopotamus.
like a Olay guy.
Basically, like, he is absolutely not a good fighter. He screamed, "It was not a manly scream."
Awesome.
That is a quote from the book, by the way.
Okay. The hippopotamus is off put by the non-manly scream and is now hesitating.
Corden is going to say, "Oh, no, no! Who put you up to this? Was it one of those husbands? It was Duke Karan, wasn't it? I knew it. I didn't even know it was his betrothed. Like, she said that she was just a woman working at the Dancing Lady. Like, I didn't know who she was. Why don't you go over here and enjoy this fine anvil and just let me go on my merry way, sir?"
So he's sniffing the anvil. Is the potion on top of the anvil? Does Gordon have in his hand? Where's the potion? We need to know
Corden
this.
has the potion in his hand.
Okay. So we have. So what does Gordon do now with the assassin hippo?
Says, I fancy myself in need of a beverage. And he's going to drink the fizzy potion.
Oh, I was hoping he'd give it to the hippo. It is a potion of strength. His strength is now tripled for the next 10 minutes, which probably doesn't help him against a hippo, but details.
So Corden is going to pick up the anvil, and he is going to
Throw it
charge
in the
the
hippo's
hippo
mouth.
and try to brain the hippo with the anvil.
What did that hippo ever do to you?
The hippo opens
That's
its mouth,
rude.
and the anvil ends up falling into the mouth of the hippo. So now the hippo can't see because its head is done up. So
Corden is going to pick up the hippo and throw him off the edge of the floating island.
nice. See, I tried to give you an out and say you could run away with the hippo not being able to see him, but no, I like this better. So hold on, we'll roll a die. Can he pick up the hippo? What do I need to roll on this 20-sided die for him to pick up the hippo?
Seriously?
Yeah.
18.
That's really high.
It's a hippo.
He picks up the hippo and throws it off the side.
And then says, "Well, sir, I tried to enjoy the evening with you, but you made it quite too difficult. Oh, I need some female companionship."
And away the hippo goes. And Alex apparently likes you more than Ro does because he was only going to say a 14. But
Well, a hippo is pretty big, and 3 times the strength of a regular person probably still isn't enough to pick up a hippo.
yeah, it's Dave's world.
John 4, man. That's just wrong. All right, show us your book one more time, Dave, if you would. Hold it right up there.
Yeah, we don't want to see your face.
Yeah,
There you go.
we've been looking at you for an hour now.
Yeah, the glare is terrible.
Mrs. Lawson, did he do all right?
She is gone.
Oh, I guess that's a
After
yes. Then.
half the things I said, she was just like, "I'm leaving." She had Pilates, so
That's what she tells you. She's
Pilates class. I am a bachelor for right now.
So somebody actually worries about these things and asks serious questions. So when is release day again?
Release day is October 19th. If
After
you want,
regional.
I am trying to defeat Adam Holcomb of a necromancer called Gam Gam in a pre-order battle. I currently have 36 to his 30. He's trying to take over by talking about how he's going to give people virtual cookies, which is fake and wrong, and I would never do something like that. So what I'm going to give you is a heartfelt round of applause. You can go to my Amazon and pre-order the Kindle copy. You can also go to my website and pre-order the paperback or hardcover copies. Those are signed. They come with swag.
What's your website?
A message about Nick. It is DaveLawsonAuthor.com.
Alrighty.
I can throw in a real cookie. By the time it gets to you, it might be a little moldy.
If you put the cookie in, you can't use media mail. So don't do that.
Yeah, I put some tea bags in a few of them because I was trying to be fancy, and then I was like, oh, I'm not going to be able
as long as they're real tea bags, not metaphorical tea bags, that's okay.
They were real tea bags. My wife is obsessed with tea, and so I have lots of tea bags.
So, Dave, because we have not interviewed Mr. Holcomb yet, I just went and pre-ordered your book. When this is over, I'm going to cancel it. I just want credit for it now.
Wow. You know what, Mike? You are a gentleman and a scholar, at least for the next few minutes, and then probably neither one of those two things. Wow. John H. Stevenson IV is just coming with some zingers in the chat tonight. And Lamia just called Mike a lady of fine taste for pre-ordering the book. Ooh, really sweet of you, Lamia. Mike is a wonderful lady.
And we should probably show this.
It's funny. It is medium length. It's like 390 something pages. There's an audio-book that will be coming out next spring. I've booked my narrator, and he's going to get me the 15-minute checkpoint here this month, and it'll be out in the springtime, and I'm pretty excited about that. Nick, I haven't had dinner yet either because I was at rehearsal, and then I got home, and I got on the computer to do this.
Well, I'll ask you one last question then. What are you making the kids do for their play this semester?
So it is called Tracks, and it is about a group of people in a subway station, and they've all come from different places around the world, and they figure out that they are all dead. And it's like a purgatory situation where they are actually like, they've all died and they're in this place and there's a train coming and they don't know, is the train going up or down? And so there's a train on the other platform and they're trying to figure out, is that one going the right way and we're going the wrong way? So they have all these cycles of guilt trying to figure out if they've done enough bad things to be the ones that are going to hell, or if they're actually going to, if they're the right ones and the other people are the ones going to hell. And so it's an interesting play. We used to do a lot of comedies, and the judges always pick the dramas more because there's something about like,
they came from that school you went to.
More autistic. And so we're doing a drama this year, and the kids have been doing a great job. We got 2 weeks to go until all of that. I lived in New York for 2 years, and yes, subway stations are indeed death. Shane, you can pre-order Bearded Book Beast versus Big Bird. I sent out an arc of it yesterday to Kenneth, who was in the chat earlier. And I will be reading that live on whatever day it is that I am on Bearded Book Beast. It might be Sunday. I don't remember. It's a day this weekend.
Who is the next one up for you? Next talk or YouTube show?
So I have Bearded Book Beast on. Let's look at the calendar because I'm going to tell you the wrong day.
So that's like 3 steps up from us.
That is Saturday, October 5th. I will be reading live a story about Big Bird. It is called Big Bird Adds to the TBR. TBR, by the way, stands for To Be Rizzed. You could also say some other good stuff like that. And then I am, I don't know if it's completely confirmed, but I might be on Beard of Darkness a week from today. And then I am going to be on, there's a guy, Rowdy Player One, who is a guy that I've met on Twitter, who is starting up a YouTube channel. I'm going to be on his YouTube channel on the 11th. On the 16th, I am with our very own Alex on Scribes Live. He has said that he is just going to criticize me and get everyone in the chat to also criticize me for the entire time. So be there for that. It'll be
I've marked my calendar.
Here.
That sounds like a good time. Yeah.
And then I actually am doing an in-person release event at a local gluten-free brewery. And I'm going to have lots of family and friends come to that. And then later that evening, I am going to have a live with Kay's Hidden Shelf. I had talked to her and she'd sent back and said, like, what about October 19th? And I was like, that is the perfect time because that is release day. So we're doing a release day live. Maybe the next week I might be on with Bill and Dewey on the Schmudgeon of Curmudgeon. But that right now, that is my release tour. I have never done any of this stuff before in terms of like the marketing and the releasing and everything. And I'm just kind of like, I watched what a lot of other authors have done. I will say, like, to give a shout out, like Josh Walker, watching what he did, watching what Scott Palmer did.
Yep.
And kind of watching at what Tim McKay did. And just kind of like taking notes on some of the cool stuff that they did that I thought, that seems like a really good idea since I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm just going to kind of follow along with some of the things that these other authors are doing that I'm seeing them and I'm thinking, that's a really cool idea. I'm going to do that. So like the Secret Scribes, that came from Josh Walker had a post on Twitter where he said he encouraged everyone to join some kind of group and like create a community because he loved the break-ins and it was a really good thing for him. And so I said, I put out a tweet and said, Josh makes a great point here. I would love to, anyone who'd like to create some kind of group, like, let me know. And I want to do this. And Ari Sanders and Sean O'Boyle had been talking about it earlier that day, how they wanted to do it. So they got in contact with me. We brought in some other people and we got up to 13 individuals in our little Secret Scribes group. And it's really been the best thing ever. Greg Terrell, Bill Adams, Alex here, Lamia, Lorraine, Ellen Douglas, Bella Dunn, E.H. Bradley, whose book is about to come out soon, Damian Francis, some other person that I'm probably forgetting, and I apologize to you from the bottom of my heart.
So Dave, 3 things I have to tell you now.
Yes.
1, if they're coming out with a book soon, they need to contact us. We'll love to have them on. I mean, they can only...
He's Irish, so he's probably more of a weekend dude for you guys. 2,
what happens the first time you see one of your students carrying your book in school? Do they get an automatic A?
I've already had a few students pre-order. So I've had 2 students pre-order the book already. And so I'll be getting them their signed copies like the Wednesday before release. Actually, the first pre-order I ever had was one of my students who had like followed all of my socials. And I'd posted like pre-orders are live, and like later that day, hardcover signed copy pre-order. And I'm like, oh my God.
Nice.
And then what was the other one you'd asked?
I said anybody in the Secret Scribes, if their book is coming out soon, they need to contact us.
R.A. Sandpiper, Rach, I forgot her. And she actually has a book coming out in 5 days. And her first book is A Pocket of Lies has gone crazy. She has like over 200 ratings on Goodreads, and it came out in I think in August, maybe.
Oh, wow.
Maybe May, and she's releasing book 2, and it's already at like 30 right now, and it's like she is
I don't know if my fragile psyche could handle having her on the show.
going great, but she's awesome. Her book comes out in 5 days. It's called A Promise of Blood. If you haven't read A Pocket of Lies and you like fantasy with like a touch of like they hate each other and there might be some slow burn romance in the future sometime, like in book 2, her book is fantastic. I just read Garantia's Guardian by L.M. Douglas, who's also in the Secret Scribes, and she blew me away with the world building. That is one that I would recommend. I'm also going to say I would recommend Fogbound by N.J. Alexander for those of you who want a fun adventure. And 2 of the books that I would say are the best 2 indie books I've read this year: The Crew by Sadir S. Samir. I loved it. And Wistful Ascending by Joe Byrne. So
I'm going to have to cancel my pre-order now and buy these other books that you've just talked about.
No. Buy all of the books.
And the third point I want to make is when you said you're copying what Tim McKay is doing, I'm like, that only works if you have 10,000 followers on Twitter. So you have to get to 10,000 followers.
And I'm not Canadian. So
call it crullers and compliments.
My beard is not nearly long enough, and my hat is just not the same.
No, it is not the same. You are a poor imitation of Tim McKay.
I wish I could be Tim, but I'm just not Tim enough.
Oh, but that's okay because you have students buying your book.
Yeah,
it's true.
Tell them to buy ours. Extra credit. Okay, for everybody who's with us, thank you for hanging out with us the entire time. If you haven't subscribed and liked, please do both those things. They don't cost nothing or anything. And Michael has said he will get a tattoo on his frickin' noggin if we get to 500 by the end of the year, and we are still 268 short. So please just go hit the subscribe button. We don't actually even care if you ever come back.
What a great...
Well, I mean, we'd like you to, right? We'd like you to, but it's really about the numbers. That's what drives the algorithm.
Like, there's nothing more fun than getting in the comments and just like making jokes about either Mike or Ro or the person talking if you know them like that.
And we are the easiest targets ever. I mean, let's be honest.
So like when you had Palmer Pickering on, I was like, I love her books. And I was like, she's great. I love her books, but also I'm kind of like, I don't think I can make fun of her because she's really cool and she's a great writer. And I haven't ever like made fun of her. So I don't know what to do in this chat. I have to be like nice and calm.
No, Tobias, we cannot go forehead. I don't care if we get 1,000 subscribers. No to the forehead. But if we get 750, I'll get goats on the other side, like chewing on the hair. So, there's that.
And I'll watch him.
And I have a new boss now at work who doesn't know.
That'd be nice. That'd be awesome. Little curly kind of dastardly mustache.
French mustache.
Yeah. All right.
I'll say that for Ro.
Mike's going to be here by himself tomorrow, right?
Yep. All by myself. So. Well, no. Chris Warman will be here. At least I hope.
Well,
otherwise, it'll be very sad.
There'll be a guest with you. So.
And then we are back Thursday. We have a guest. And I really wish I could remember who it was. I knew.
Hold on, I'll tell you. Hold on. 1 minute.
Seeing if my brain can catch it first. No, that's not going to come.
That's not going to happen. So tomorrow with Chris Warman. Wednesday. No, tomorrow.
Oh, that's with Steve
Hugh Westenra.
Yes.
Steve Hugh Westenra.
Yes. So three in a row for y'all this week, because we don't want you to be productive.
That's right. And then on the 8th, Book and a Beverage with James Maxey. Oh, we got James back?
Yes.
All right,
if
cool.
You don't know, James goes to 20, 30 Comic-Cons a year, and he has like 25 books out.
It's just, it's crazy.
He's always on Twitter giving advice to how to better sell your books. And the one thing made me laugh. He goes, seriously, people, all these people saying, look, I have 0 sales for the month and they get 40 likes. I'm here telling you how to sell your books, and I can't get 3 people to like my posts.
And if you want an introduction to James, if you go to our video tab and scroll way down to B&B episode 3, James was one of our first interviews, so he's coming back for the second time around.
But yeah, he is a fountain of knowledge. You should watch him because we'll do our shenanigans, but he will tell you useful material, useful
Yeah, I
stuff.
don't think James is a big shenanigan guy.
Well, he's in Western Carolina, so hopefully his internet is working by then.
Hopefully his house is standing.
Well, yeah, that too. I mean, at least the internet.
You're a font of compassion. All right.
I am Gen X.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Buy his